fired up here in the Philadelphia region, especially in Montgomery County, one of our suburbs of Pennsylvania. But good morning, Michael.
It is a great morning. I think we had a great night last night and feel very, very good about where we're going over the course of the next 5 weeks. I think we're in a really good position to win Pennsylvania, and when we do, we're going to win the whole thing.
So take me through it as far as, your reaction when you were watching the debate with J.D. Vance. For those of us, for me, there's a clear winner here. I just think that he outperformed Walz, who I've compared this morning earlier on our early morning show on Kale and Company. I compared him to the movie Tommy Boy, Chris Farley, with the reactions and some of the shtick. But what was your overall takeaway, if you would, as far as last night's debate and how, obviously you're happy with it, but where you think it reached some voters who needed to hear that and maybe will change some minds?
Yeah, J.D. Vance won that debate because he was able to talk directly to the American voters, the people who were watching that show, and talk to them about the issues that they care about. The biggest issues in this election are the economy and inflation. Tim Walz did not want to talk about that. He talked about that less than any other topic throughout the course of the night. The moderators didn't want to talk about that because they know that it helps Kamala Harris. But J.D. Vance was able to talk about the economy, talk about inflation. He was able to talk about the southern border and the invasion that we have seen since Kamala Harris took over as the border czar and took 94 executive actions to dismantle the most secure southern border that we've ever had and allow 10, 12, 15 million illegal immigrants that have come across and brought the scourge of fentanyl and migrant crime with them. He was able to talk about what's happening right now in Israel, the threat that they face from Iran, and the fact that Iran has $100 billion right now that they did not have 4 years ago because Kamala Harris and her administration have given them billions of dollars in cash, and they've also lifted sanctions and allowed them to sell oil on the international market. So Iran is off the mat. They are now fully weaponized, and they're attacking Iran with it. So those are the issues that the voters care about. That's what J.D. Vance was able to talk about, and that's why he was a big winner last night.
Michael Whatley, RNC chairman, I thought it was a disgrace last night that the second question out of the box, and at first I thought they were going to talk about the storm devastation, 6 states, of course, your North Carolina, the Carolinas well, the South well. We're looking at 6 states as we speak, and as they spoke last night, hundreds of people still missing, more than 1 million people without power, devastation that these people are suffering now and will continue to suffer. This will take a long, long time to recover from. The moderator, was Nora that did this one. She chose to use pimp, if you will, the pain of these people to pivot to a climate change question. How do you think that goes over with people, especially in North Carolina?
Well, I don't think it does. Right now, we're still dealing with rescue and recovery in North Carolina. We're still dealing with that in Tennessee, with Georgia, with South Carolina, where they're trying to get into these communities. They're trying to restore cell phone coverage. They're trying to restore electricity, get food and water into those communities. This is not a time to politicize this. There will be plenty of time to talk about politics later. But right now, when we look at all of the issues that we're facing in the United States, obviously the hurricane and the damage that we're seeing in North Carolina is just one of those issues. We shouldn't be politicizing it yet. What we need to do is support those first responders and support the charities that are up there doing that work, especially for them to grandstand on, the climate change issue. So I think that J.D. Vance did a very good job of being able to kind of deflect that conversation and put it into something that was more relevant. But it does go to a bigger issue, which is the bias of the moderators.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people are going to say, well, they weren't as bad as the ABC moderators. That's a pretty low bar. We have now seen 2 debates in a row where the moderators have specifically chosen topics and chosen to try and fact check just the Republican side. And I got to say, great job by J.D. Vance to actually fact check the fact checker
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to push back on Norah O'Donnell when they were trying to kind of push back on him with a snide comment following the result or the conversation that they were having on Springfield, Ohio, and really push back on her very appropriately and aggressively to say this is completely not what we had talked about in there. So shame on the moderators for being as biased as they were.
You know what, Dan Borowski, our great executive producer, can you just, you have that audio clip. Let's listen.
Margaret, I think it's important because
we're going to turn out of the economy. Thank
Margaret,
you.
the rules were that
The
you guys
economy,
weren't going to fact check. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So there's an application called the CBP One app where you can go on as an illegal migrant, apply for asylum or apply for parole, and be granted legal status at the wave of a Kamala Harris open border wand. That is not a person coming in, applying for a green card and waiting for 10 years. That is the facilitation of illegal immigration, Margaret, by our own
Thank you, Senator, for
leadership.
describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator.
Those laws have been on the
much.
books since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen.
The
We want to
CBP One
have,
app has not been on the books since 1990. It's something
So your reaction, Michael Watley,
gentlemen, you're,
as they cut the mics and they cut J.D. Vance out?
I was truly appalled.
Yeah.
I think that that again, this type of mainstream media bias, where the moderators feel like it's their job to steer an outcome in the debate, is really why I don't think that we're going to see these types of debates necessarily going forward, unless and until we can actually get things where we have the moderators. I've got to give, of all networks, CNN a lot of credit. Dana Bash and Jake Tapper played the debate between President Trump and Joe Biden completely straight. And I thought that when they did, you saw obviously where that debate went. Look, J.D. Vance did a fantastic job in a 3-on-1 debate, and he clearly won it. And, Kamala Harris was the big loser last night, because I think that the other big winner besides J.D. Vance was Donald Trump. Kamala Harris needed a knockout punch last night from Tim Walz, and she absolutely did not get it.
Yeah, Tim Walz, that was just it. He talked more about Minnesota and didn't really promote, his candidate, his running mate. We want to play, and I cringe to play this one, but this is Nicole Wallace, and let's listen into this piece on MSNBC as she gives her fair and objective view of what happened here.
And I actually think if you're a woman, that might be the worst moment J.D. Vance had, because he was going to mansplain right over that mute button. He was, and again, I don't pretend to know how everyone will react to this. I think that a lot of women in positions of authority that should command respect just by virtue of that dynamic will see themselves in some dude that disrespected them and talked over. I mean, there was a moment like that with then vice presidential in the Harris-Pence debate.
First of all, why do we talk like this? That's why we lost the McCain campaign and will never be hired. But, your reaction to that first of all, well, I'll let you react. Michael Watley.
I think that, it is absolutely no surprise when MSNBC is in deflect mode and defense mode. I think that that's a pretty good night. So we're pretty happy with all of this. Look, J.D. Vance did a great job of connecting with everybody last night. Mm-hmm. He talked about his family. He talked about his daughters. He talked about his upbringing with his mother and his grandmother, talked about his military service, talked about his great life that he's got right now, and the fact that he's willing to serve this country. He did an absolutely great job across the board of talking about the issues that every voter cares about. Tim Walz did not meet the moment. I think this is just yet another example of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz not being ready for prime time. For you to go out there and have a very basic, simple question, were you in Tiananmen Square or not? And to watch him bumble through that answer was frankly pretty shocking that they didn't prepare him for that, or if they did, that he completely blanked.
Yeah. I want to bring it home. As I say, I met you in Montgomery County last week. That's Thursday night. Tonight, as I speak, and I have moms in Montgomery County actually texting me. So thank you. One of our great moms, Shannon, had texted me this event tonight, see you in Bluebell. This is Riley Gaines and Frank Murphy, locally Athletes for America meet and greet. And it's all part of these, Trump Force 47 events that are going on Montgomery County, Bucks County, Chester County, Delaware County. It's critical here. I'm reporting from Philadelphia County. But Michael, the big event this Saturday, I'll be there, Butler, Pennsylvania, as President Trump delivers on his promise to return to the scene of the crime, but this time to honor one former fire chief, Corey Comparator, the victim in the attempted assassination of Trump. Take me through what this means to you, to the Trump campaign, to the RNC, to have former President Trump coming back to Butler, Pennsylvania this Saturday.
I think it's an absolutely profound opportunity for President Trump to connect with the entire country, the entire world, and particularly with Pennsylvania. There was never any doubt that he was going to want to go back to Butler County. I am very, very glad that we were able to get this put together for it. I will never forget, ever, when we were at the convention on that Monday night, when the President Trump was unannounced, getting ready to walk out there to the crowd. And we were backstage, and I said, sir, when you go through this door, this place is absolutely going to melt. And you could see the emotion on his face. You could see the emotion on every single person in that arena's face. He loves America, and he is fighting for America. This is a guy who has an absolutely amazing family. He had a truly remarkable business career and has a great life. He does not need this job. And yet he fights every single day for America, for every American family. And he wants everybody to be able to succeed in this country to the point where, despite the fact that he is still under threats, we've seen a second assassination attempt. We know Iran is out there very aggressively trying to assassinate him. There are security concerns that we have to deal with all across the country. And yet Donald Trump is going to be there in Butler because he cares about Pennsylvania, because he cares about this country. I think it's absolutely an epic moment that we're going to see on Saturday, and I cannot wait to be there and be part of it.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's going to be huge in Butler, PA. RNC Chairman Michael Whatley, I loved last week after you spoke, and then we all got pictures with you, and the crowd loved you. And I think I mentioned my friend Rich Zioli, and you said, I love that guy. I love Zioli, and everybody kind of loved that moment. So I'll pass along the love. But, I think we have a great camaraderie of people who are like-minded, but as well, my hope is that here in Pennsylvania, maybe this catches on, and there are people who are still undecided or still just trying to find their way politically in these tough times. Do you think that that's possible, that there are still people in our region that are actually undecided or are staying on the sidelines, haven't even registered to vote? Do you think that's possible?
I do. And I think that our job over the next 30 some odd days that we have, 33 days, is going to be to talk to those folks and get them engaged, get them to register to vote. We're asking all of Donald Trump supporters to go to TrumpForce47.com and sign up, go through a very quick training session, and then go talk to people in your community, talk to people at your church, talk to people at work, talk to your family members and your friends, and have a conversation. Because if we can get every one of your listeners to get 10 additional people to commit to voting, we're going to win this thing. And when we win the collar counties around Philadelphia, we're going to win Pennsylvania. And when we win Pennsylvania, we're going to be able to win the election. We're going to flip the Senate. We're going to expand our majority in the House. And we're going to send Donald J. Trump back to the White House as our 47th president of the United States.
Amen. So where do you find such a big gavel to slam? This is Dan's question for you.
I got to tell you, that was a lot of fun, and it is proudly sitting on my desk at the RNC right now. We're gonna frame that one up in glass. Look, I just think that we are in a position right now where all of America understands the seriousness of this election, the magnitude of this election. We're either going to have a strong country or we're going to have a weak country. And I know Pennsylvania desperately wants to have a strong country We want a strong border, a strong southern economy, a southern border, a strong economy, and a strong standing in the world where we can protect the interest of us and our allies at home and abroad.
Michael, thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Have a great weekend.
You too. Michael Whatley, RNC chair. So your thoughts, your reaction to what Michael Whatley just stated about Pennsylvania especially, but about last night's debate. We'll have more clips, and I'll give you my take and my observations as well. And then the media reaction this morning, all of it's relevant. 855-839-1210. Thanks for being here. Be right back.
When you go on vacation, does it make sense to have someone else pack for you? Of course not. The same can be said for your retirement. Your 401k could be packed with things you don't know about or even need. If you're close to retirement but don't have a plan customized to your goals, that's kind of like taking a 30-year vacation with no idea what's in your suitcase. Seems like a stressful way to start what should be a relaxing time. Jim Cipriotti and the Retire Ready Financial Group can help you unpack your savings and build a plan to help reduce future taxes, along with a clearly defined income strategy. Call Jim at 610-894-7415 for your complimentary retirement game plan, or visit retirereadyfg.com. That's 610-894-7415.
Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriotti, Retire Ready Financial Group, LLC, NPN number 2083768.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. Do you have water on your property giving you a headache, soggy yards, damp patio, pool area getting swampy? Visit GardenStateEarthworks.com, your drainage solution, 856-848-4444.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause, brought to you by Advocacy United, this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that'll affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Are you tired of relying on caffeine for a quick energy fix? There's a better way to revitalize your body from within. Introducing Oracine by Rescue Natural Supplements, the cellular energizer that helps your body produce its own natural fuel. Say goodbye to daily fatigue and hello to lasting energy. As a bonus, Oracine supports heart health, optimal blood pressure too. That's why you can't miss out on this exclusive radio offer. Buy one bottle of Oracine, get another absolutely free. Simply use the code FUEL when you place that order. Call today at 800-26-LIVE, 800-262-5483. Speak to a knowledgeable product consultant or use the code online when you visit res-q.com, res-q.com. Be sure to use that code FUEL, F-U-E-L, for this buy one, get one free offer on Rescue Oracine. Remember, use the code FUEL at res-q.com today.
I am Judith Krupnick, president of Cherry Hill Volvo. As the store's owner, I want our clients treated with respect. I want our employees to have extensive product knowledge and be genuinely engaged with our clients. Our pricing is competitive, but our client attention is second to none. When considering a new car, consider Cherry Hill Volvo. Contact me directly. Relationships really do matter to us.
Calling on Levittown. Hello there. To follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
So the bottom line here for the debates, what's your bottom line with it? I mean, I think, here's the thing. For those of us as conservatives, when we look at this, I think we see J.D. Vance as somebody who was authentic last night.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a slick talker. Who said that? Somebody, Rachel Maddow.
Yeah, I have that audio if you want that.
Yeah, let's hear what she said.
Is much slicker than the other, is a much more practiced kind of professional debate style speaker, and the other candidate won. There was one bad moment for Tim Walz in this debate where he got mixed up and embarrassed in answering a question about exactly what month he had been in China in relation to the Tiananmen Square protest.
Yes, so that's Rachel Maddow. At first I thought she said there's one who won. So who's she saying who won? She's speaking very What?
She was saying Walls.
She's saying Wall. Are you sure?
Yeah, but she says one's slick talker and the other one's the one that won, I think.
One of these candidates is much slicker than the other, is a much more practiced kind of professional debate style speaker, and the other candidate won.
Wow. I don't know what she was smoking.
Yeah, I'll have what she's having.
Right?
Yeah.
To me, first of all, J.D. Vance, I thought there were just moments that seemed natural. That I did not think he was a slick talker. Did you? 855-839-1210. There were the moments where, for example, Tim Walz said that he, what did he say? He befriended school shooters, and obviously he misspoke. But in that moment where he talked about his own son witnessing something, and I hope that was factual because he's such a liar. I thought this morning, all right, we should fact check that. But I thought that J.D. Vance's reaction was, Tim, Governor, I was not aware.
So first of all, I didn't know that your 17-year-old witnessed a shooting. And I'm sorry about that, and I hope that you're doing okay. Christ have mercy. It is awful. And I appreciate what Tim said, actually, about Finland, because I do think it illustrates some of the frankly, weird differences between our own country's gun violence problem and Finland.
Now, when he was saying weird, he said it there, and he made a weird science rap. Was he purposely saying the word weird?
Yeah.
Just to put it back in their face. Ha! I loved it.
Well, I think the whole idea of weird kind of blows up in their face for anybody that watches the debate, because if you're watching that and you're going in with the notion of JD's a cross-dresser back in, middle school, and he wears eyeliner and he has fun with couches that they lied about. If you go in with that kind of mentality and you see the normalcy that J.D. Vance presented last night, you're thinking, I've been lied to.
Your thoughts on this? 855-839-1210 is the number to call. By the way, there's this weird breaking news story about Harris's hubby, Doug Emhoff. The New York Post and other New York publications are carrying this. Apparently, there's a New York City attorney who's claiming that Dougie, back in the day, had roughed her up, and she's accusing him of some kind of domestic violence. Jeez. That's a guy who's a slick talker and a sweet talker.
But it was a definition of masculinity.
I know. There's your masculinity there.
Yeah, the new guy.
Just slap her upside the head.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. So that's kind of a strange, twist that I guess this woman and three of her friends are talking to Daily Mail and other publications. Anyway, just putting that on your radar. 855-839-1210. Do you want me to take a quick call here? I know we have guests that you've worked very hard to book up, so I don't want to...
Getting some more details from a caller right now who said his son's a Marine, has been deployed. I have Jim trying to figure out whether or not that person's been deployed to Israel.
Yeah, so that situation, because the back and forth is that, and we've been telling you about this all morning. We have you have an update?
Yeah, so Frank says his son's been deployed. I believe he's on a ship, and he was hoping he'd have him back in time for Christmas, and it's not looking that way.
I'm sorry. That's, and that's... Here's the thing. The reason I just don't think Harris gets the support of anybody who's a cop, anybody who's in, especially law enforcement at the state or local level, military, because no matter what you think, you look at Trump, peace and prosperity. This is a guy who basically, it's as if he's allergic to war. And that's just the thing. That's why we talked about Zelensky of Ukraine going back after the meeting in the principal's office, right? Because that Trump in that meeting was saying, and this is a tough thing, but there's no question in my mind that former President Trump is telling little Zelensky in the principal's office there after they met, and we talked a lot about that in fact, look, not for nothing, but we've got to end this thing. And the cost, the human cost, as far as lives, casualties, more than 1 million, both Ukraine and Russia. And then on top of it, this has gone on far too long. And no, the money, we're not just going to keep doling out. Basically, Russia is at war with us, essentially. We're funding this. We're the ones. And this is going nowhere. And because of Russia, they're not a democracy. So they're expendable. They're getting prisoners out of prison right now in Russia to fight this war. They're not backing down anymore. And Trump knows all of this. He's a realist on that, but he doesn't want war. If you're in the military, you don't want to go to war under somebody right now, look at this administration. I don't have to tell you this. Look at the hot mess of this administration. The Middle East right now, powder keg. You look at Ukraine, Russia. You look at China. You look at the lack of respect. Look at this freaking strike right now with thousands. It affects us here in Philadelphia and up and down the coast, the East Coast right now. This is a disaster within this administration. They can't lead. It's a failure of leadership. You're fired. That's it. That's my bottom line. Frank in Ben Salem. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Dawn. Start off with a serious note. You know,
yes.
He's a 13-year Marine, and he's been out to sea with a whole group of ships, okay, for at least 4 months. Supposed to be 6 months, but it could be a lot longer than that. And they're also sending out another carrier that's on its way. So her lies about nobody being deployed, it's despicable. And it just sickens me because they don't know what it is to have a family member, particularly a son who's given 13 years so far of his life to Afghanistan, to a bunch of other places. And I find that just appalling, and I don't even know how they could vote for somebody like her. But on a lighter note, being a PIAA official, I've been out in Montgomery County about 3 or 4 times in the past couple of weeks. I came from Ben Salem, which, believe it or not, man, there's Trump signs all over the place.
Yes.
It's a whole lot different. I was at Wissahickon on Monday, and I'm driving through the neighborhood there, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, look at these Harris Wolf signs. And I'm thinking, Dawn, you got to move out of that area. I know you love the area, but...
No,
I feel like when those parents are looking at you like, oh,
yeah,
there's that Dawn Stensland, you know.
Where's she going to move, though? Jersey? I mean, that's where I'm at. It's not much better over there.
I'm going, I wanted to get out and yell, are you people out of your mind?
I hear you. And you know what? When I drive by the signs, I always, because I have in my minivan, because I'm going to all these different Trump Force 47 events, so I have in my minivan, because they're always like, hey, you want more stickers? You want signs? I always am tempted to just hop out of the minivan and take one of my Trump fans like bumper stickers and just diagonally put it across one. I didn't do this, but I'm so tempted, to diagonally just slap it over their walls, Harris.
I just drove by a house not far from me. It had about 20 signs, Trump signs, and I got a McCormick and a Casey Tomlinson sign out. They didn't have any Trump signs. I'm going to stop there on the way out today and ask if I can have one of their signs, because I'm tired of seeing people with those signs, and I'm always like, I can't let my neighbors know what I support. And then I said, you know what? I listen to you guys all the time. I'm done with that. I'm going to ask the lady, can I have that Trump sign, please? One of your 18 Trump signs, because I'm putting it on my lawn this afternoon.
She'll probably love it. Frank, God bless, and I'll say a prayer for your son as we all will. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Dawn.
Appreciate you. Yeah, Riley Gaines tonight at the Trump Force 47 office there in Bluebell. So I'll try to make it out this afternoon. We have to take a break, right? Because we have the great Guy Shiraki. He's right around the corner. Can't wait to hear Guy's take, and then we'll talk about his latest piece. I think you're going to like it.
And for the callers that are hanging, we got a heavy board right now. Hang on the line, because I think it might be interesting if you took some calls with Guy as well.
Please do. Be right back.
Hey, it's Greg with Kale & Company. This year, FanDuel, in partnership with Valley Forge Casino, is giving you a chance to win big every Thursday night with FanDuel Squares. It's the same Super Bowl Squares game you've always known, only way better. That's because your numbers aren't just randomly assigned. You get to pick them yourself. You get to see the odds beforehand, and you can bet them live during the game. It's the perfect game to start this with because you don't have any skin in this game. Make it a little more interesting. What are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com/Greg, FanDuel.com/Greg, and bet on Squares. Plus, if you're new to FanDuel, you can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. FanDuel Sportsbook, the official partner of 1210 WPHT. 21 and over, President PA. First online real money wager, only $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling. Are you ready for retirement? Have you prepared everything you need? Well, in Investor Schooling, we will teach you ways to better prepare for your retirement using real estate and the stock market. But you need to learn how to do it right, and that's what we teach. At Investor Schooling, we sell nothing but education. Come to Investor Schooling and learn how to have a better retirement. Go to investorschooling.com and RSVP right now for this Thursday's class at 7 o'clock. Go to investorschooling.com. That's investorschooling.com. This is Larry Steinhaus with Investor Schooling. Are you tired of hearing about the recession that's coming? Are you prepared for it? Well, listen, at investorschooling.com, we're going to teach you ways to prepare for the recession that you didn't even know existed. We're going to teach you strategies on how to use real estate. We're going to teach you strategies how to use the stock market properly. That's right, you can even make money in the stock market when the stock market goes down. Hey, go to investorschooling.com and register for a free class this Thursday night, and you will learn all of these techniques. Go to investorschooling.com right now, RSVP for this Thursday. We'll see you there.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the relief hotline at 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448. 800-525-8448.
Calling on Blackwood to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
Our next guest goes by many titles. Probably the most important title is dad, coach, husband. Those are probably the top for Guy Shiraki, but somebody who's worked in the public and private sector, Chester County. Are you an award-winning coach, Guy Shiraki, Broad and Liberty writer, columnist?
Leading off for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Leading off for the Philadelphia Phillies, he wishes.
I wish. My baseball career, unfortunately, ended when finally a coach was honest with me and said, Guy, 5'7", single-hitting, right-handed people do not play first base. So that's why I turned to coaching, and I don't know if I'm award-winning, but a lot of the girls I coached are award-winning, and I'm proud of them.
Oh, so now we're not talking like life or career coach. We're talking actual sports here. Guys, a coach or something.
He's a girl dad coach.
I didn't know that.
I have coached girls travel in Little League softball this is the start of my 26th season.
Wow, Guy, that's awesome, coach.
That's awesome.
I love it. We have practice Friday and a whole lineup of games on Sunday up in Bristol. So I'll be looking for those signs on my way to the field. But once I get to the field, I change into Coach Guy, and
Are you to the point now, Guy, where you're coaching kids of ex-players?
I'm not there, but I am at the point where girls I coached 10, 20 years ago come back and help me coach.
Oh, that's
nice.
Awesome. That's awesome.
This is wonderful.
Yeah.
So
it is.
We're talking about, we have a loaded board, so we'll talk about last night's debate first, just get your reaction. And do you mind taking a couple calls, Guy? Some of our callers?
Sure.
And then
absolutely.
So we'll be interactive. And then I do want to get, obviously, to some of your latest Broad and Liberty columns that we love, and we want to get into those. But just first, your initial reaction to last night's debate.
Yeah, I thought and said it during the debate, J.D. Vance won in a knockout. He won in a knockout, and it was clear that he won. And it was clear yet again to every honest broker that it was 3-on-1 yet again. And I hope, if nothing else, that there's a segment of America that is beginning to see what we all know and feels that all too often the legacy media has their thumb on the scale. Look, I think J.D. did well, not because he was polished and would have won a forensics tournament medal. I think he was good because he came across as a human being.
Mm-hmm.
He came across as somebody who was talking like a businessman and a dad, and he related to real problems. And I look at this. He did not, as a vice presidential candidate, do no harm. So he did no harm with their supporters. I think he made a compelling case to the 5 Americans who are undecided, and to even some people who might be soft Harris supporters. I think he explained the Trump-Vance agenda in common sense ways. I think Tim Walz came off as nervous. I think he came off as awkward and spent a lot of time hammering and yelling about 2016 and 2020, whereas Vance was talking more to the future. So I thought Vance did everything he needed to do and then some, and Walz fell short. So I thought it was JD by a knockout, onto the post-mortem. But I think anybody that looks at it any other way was clearly biased. Vance did everything he needed to do and then some.
Yeah. The problem is there's bias by omission with what the moderators did and most importantly did not ask about. And so the choices of all the questions, even the way that they were worded, was that shows the bias, right? And the fact that they cut his mic at a point where he was explaining things and there was a snarky little, thank you for explaining the policy or whatever was said. And so there was even that little snarky, demeaning little comment there. I just thought, wow, it was like the librarians moderate here. But your takeaway as far as if we think about the goal of a debate, and to your point, Guy Shiraki, so the goal here for J.D. Vance, his strategy, because he's been demonized in the media, even though he's done a whole lot of interviews. He's been demonized, he has been misquoted, and so he has to come out there and ignore the media bias, ignore the moderators who are not giving him a fair shake, in my opinion. And then, so on one hand, show who he is, a little bit of hillbilly elegy, right? But on the other side, he wants to talk about Trump and why Trump's policies are better. And Guy, that's where I think it was a win, because I do think he kept talking about Trump. Here's the policy. I actually, maybe I'm going to make some people upset, but I actually think J.D. Vance explained Trump's policies now and his proven policies as far as in the past better than Trump does at his rallies and things.
Well, I think some of the best moments that J.D. Vance had, aside from the opening, which was an A++, I think his best moments were 2. One, when he explained that this race is between essentially 2 people that are sort of incumbents with records, because as you and I've discussed, and as I've written, right, Harris is trying to do this with the support of the media, that she's this brand new candidate that just appeared on the scene. I think J.D. Vance was very effective in saying, hey, America, despite all the noise, this is a race between 2 executives with records, and you can compare the 2 records. The economy, inflation, your take-home pay, crime, the border, the world, 2 different records. So I think he was at his best there, and I think he was also at his best in speaking from the heart and introducing himself. I think when he talked about living in a home, being raised by his grandmother, talking about very openly his mom's addiction, talking about having to make choices, I think that's very relatable. So, yes, he explained that this is a race where, in essence, one person's asking to be restored to the presidency, the other's being asked to be reelected, whose record merits it, and 2, saying, look, I look at this race as someone that comes from a house where we really did. We've heard a lot about Kamala Harris being from a middle-class family. Well, you got the distinct impression that J.D. Vance's family aspired to be middle class, that they literally couldn't pay the bills. They were that dirt poor, and I think it was genuine. So he came across as genuine, and he framed the race as 2 records. That's why I think he did so exceptionally well.
I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household.
Yeah, so thanks, Dan, for playing that clip. Let's get to Ed and Delran. Hey, Ed, it's Dawn and Guy Shiraki on the line
Hello,
with you.
Dawn and Guy Shiraki, but I got a good one for you, and I'll get right into it, and that is Dawn Stensland gave J.D. Vance more than a glance because she knows him and Trump got to advance so we can go to that real big dance.
Love you, Ed.
Hey, love you both, man. Right back at you. So listen, here's the thing. This guy, Wallace, they got along good, these two, which is amazing. And the other thing is, this guy Wallace lies like a rug. I don't know who lies more, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or Wallace. They are the biggest freaking liars I've ever seen in my life.
Ed, thank you so much, and thanks for the rhymes. Good time, always good times and good rhymes with our friend Ed.
Ed worked very hard. He had practiced for that,
Yes.
and he delivered it pretty well.
Yeah.
He did.
What I think is amazing about Walz and his lies is that, how can I put it? He has practiced his lies.
Mm-hmm.
Because look, this wasn't two people, and as I say, Walz is this guy in a bar that keeps telling stories that after a while everybody in the bars realize that they're BS, but he keeps telling them. When he says things like, "Oh, I got the month confused when I was in Tiananmen Square," no reporter said to you, "Hey, Governor, were you in Tiananmen Square in June or July?" And he said July, and then he says later it was June. No, it was, he said, "I was there as the revolution was taking place, as the Chinese sent tanks against humans. I witnessed that, and it moved me." That's not a case of were you there June 22nd or July 22nd. He said he witnessed things that he could not have possibly witnessed with people he could have not have possibly been with because he was back home in the United States. That's not an accident. That's not I misspoke, I'm a knucklehead. No, you're a liar. He keeps putting himself in places like Forrest Gump that he never was. And he does it, and you have to ask, why does he keep doing it? Everybody has a life story. Yeah. Some of us get to be there and see historic things. Some of us don't. Don't lie about it. Yeah. Why do you lie? You lie because you're trying to deceive people and tell something that's fake because you don't believe in your own true story.
Yeah, that struck me as, he really got a pass by the moderators. But what struck me was, why ask him the Tiananmen Square question? Because that in that one, I think, to be very honest, it's not really as consequential as asking him about the stolen valor question. So I think that they were they had to, in their mind, they had to ask one tough question. And because now they're leading up to the final, pièce de la résistance for their bias, and that is J6. They don't really ask about the handling of the administration of the deadly storms where you have hundreds of people still missing and presumed dead in 6 southern states. So they'd rather ask about climate change there. But I think they had to ask Walz one tough question, so they avoided asking about stolen valor or any of the other lies he told. That, I guess, is the lesser of the lies. Do you agree?
No, I think, Dawn, you've made two very, very astute insights. And one is that is exactly what they did. They asked him a soft negative that in the end people say, who cares when he was in China,
right,
whether he was there in June or July. And secondly, as you pointed out early on, it is not so much the questions they asked, it's the questions they didn't ask. The bias was obvious when they cut off JD's mic. The bias was obvious when they said the snarky things. But the bias was not so obvious, and you picked it up. What they didn't ask, the questions they didn't frame. J.D. Vance not only had to overcome the 3-on-1 in what was said, he had to overcome the 3-on-1 in what was not asked. Tim Walz was put on the defensive once over when you were in China. You are exactly right, and the bias was much more overt, and you picked up every aspect of it, and you're doing a real service explaining it to the listeners, especially the people who are on the fence and understand what Vance and Trump are really up against.
Thanks, Guy. Can you stick around a commercial break? Because I still want to talk about your latest Broad and Liberty piece and wrap up the debate. Do you have a minute?
I do. We don't have practice till Friday, so I've got some time.
All right. More Guy Shiraki, more of your calls, 855-839-1210. We'll take a quick break. Be right back.
Governor, just to follow up on that, the question was, can you explain the discrepancy?
All I said on this was I got there that summer and misspoke on this. I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests went in. And from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance.
Hey, did you hear? Wawa has classic hoagies for just $6.
Any classic hoagie?
Yeah, any classic hoagie.
What about the cheesesteak?
$6.
Meatball?
$6.
What about the Italian hoagie?
It's $6 for a classic. I shouldn't even have to ask, but what do you want for lunch?
Hoagies at Wawa, of course.
Right now, get any Wawa classic hoagie for $6. Gotta have a Wawa.
Is your car still under warranty?
No, not anymore.
My mechanic just suggested an extended service plan from Ox Car Care.
Ox Car Care?
Yeah, Ox will cover repair bills if anything happens to the car. New brakes, transmission, AC, or engine problems. Plus, Ox Car Care offers free oil changes, tire rotation, and roadside assistance.
Wait, you pay nothing on repairs? Ox gets it fixed? Free oil changes, free tire rotation, and free roadside assistance?
Yeah, you don't pay. Ox pays. Ox even has a 30-day money-back guarantee and is A+ rated on the BBB. They handle their claims from start to finish, unlike those other warranty companies.
The last thing I need is an unexpected car repair bill. I'm calling Ox Car Care now.
Call Ox Car Care for your free quote. 800-224-8517. Ask about senior and military discounts. Don't get stuck with a major car repair bill. Call Ox Car Care. 800-224-8517. 800-224-8517. Or go to oxcarcare.com.
When was the last time you watched your home movies?
Disasters strike unexpectedly. Every year, American families lose the one thing they'd run back into a burning building for, their family's memories. Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Adam. We started Legacy Box to help save your family's most important recorded moments so you don't have to worry.
Load Legacy Box with your old movies, film reels, and shoeboxes of photos.
We work our digitizing magic, converting those memories right to the cloud so they're safe and accessible forever.
It's fast, we always send your originals back, and it's done right here in the USA.
Over 1 million families have trusted Legacy Box. Better Homes and Garden, Real Simple, and Inc. magazine are all talking about Legacy Box.
New York Times columnist David Pogue says, have them digitized. I wish I'd done it sooner. Take action. Save your family's memories today with Legacy Box.
Go to legacybox.com/value to get an incredible 50% off your Legacy Box. That's legacybox.com/value for 50% off while supplies last. legacybox.com/value.
Free speech lives here on Odyssey's #1 talk station. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
It seems to me if the goal is to make Tim Waltz your neighbor, your Midwest neighbor, a nice guy, actually, despite all the things we're saying this morning, it's mission accomplished. And Tim Waltz got exactly what he needed out of this, and so did Kamala Harris.
Talking about last night's debate, all the breaking news today from Israel, Iran, the strike, the talks that have stalled, and a strike that impacts every one of us. And certainly in South Philadelphia, everything's pretty much quiet except for a few folks who are walking about with their signs as those union workers are on strike.
You stock up on paper towels or anything after work today?
You know, we always stock up.
Yeah.
We always stock up.
Yeah.
I have.
I legitimately asked Maisie last night, do we have enough toilet paper to get through this? And we just went to Costco last weekend and got a huge thing. So.
Yeah, we always have the stockpiles. Yeah. Guy Shiraki, are you all stocked up?
I can neither confirm nor deny that my wife made a run to Acme yesterday.
Yeah, and
we're hearkening back to 2020, right?
Yeah.
You know, race out and get all the toilet paper, tissues, napkins, and canned goods, right?
Well, if this strike continues, that's just it. I don't know that. I think the stores have stocked up on items like paper towels. I think it's more about perishables, so bananas, fresh fruit, meat, things of that nature. But the longer the strike goes on, we're on day 2 right now. But with the ports, shut down like this, it will. You bring up a great point. It will remind people of the pandemic because we sometimes we forget too soon. And so it will remind us all of the Democrat-run shutdowns in places like here in Pennsylvania. Remember, Pennsylvanians came out in full force and we loudly voted against the overreach of then Governor Tom Wolf. So to your point, which is a good one, maybe it is a reminder to people of what happened once the Democrats were in control at the state level and then the national, the federal level, and how they kind of used the pandemic beyond and overreached, right, to control all of our lives and our kids' lives.
Yeah, and heaven forbid a week from now when we see things are missing or the prices spike, because again, for those of us that understand common sense or paid attention for 5 minutes in economics class, it's supply and demand. And if your local store is used to having 1,000 rolls of toilet paper and suddenly has 100, they're going to have to charge more because there's less of it and the supply's not coming. So it's going to teach us again about inflation, about empty store shelves. And again, I would remind folks, in a state where we live, where the number one industry is still agriculture, much of the food that is produced in Pennsylvania is eaten by Pennsylvanians and our neighbors, but some is shipped. Some of the things our farmers grow that need to go to places like Canada or Mexico or the islands or even Europe are not going to get there. So once again, like with COVID, where our farmers are going to get the short end of the stick. This is real life. Family farms in Chester County, Lancaster County, Montgomery County, Berks County, once again, are going to be in the short end of it. And this is going to be a painful reminder of them, many of whom have still not fully recovered from 2020 and 2021. Any interruption in their money, in their ability to trade and make money, is another hit against them that run family farms.
Guy Shiraki, thank you so much for sticking around 2 segments. We really appreciate you today. I know you have to run because you do have an 11 o'clock. Thank you, Guy.
All good. Thanks for the opportunity, and thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit about softball and to pretend that I'm leading off for the Phillies.
You can only dream. You too.
Amen. Thanks.
Thanks, Guy. Yeah, your calls, 855-839-1210. Get to a quick call. Larry, not my Lair Bear. This is Larry in Hatboro. Yep. Hey, Larry.
No. Yes, I think Vance did well, but he should have taken advantage when that question about Tiananmen Square came up, and he got him on the ropes. He should have went into, right down the line. How about your stolen valor? How about your DUI? How about your, telling everybody you were given some award, the outstanding young Nebraskan, and that turned out to be fake.
Yeah.
And then step back and say, well, you did really good because you've been schooled the last couple days by Buttigieg, who should be really worried about this dock strike.
Yeah, exactly.
And they kind of just pile on and make them, because he looks stupid after one little that Tiananmen Square question.
Yes.
Now, you let him get, to the end of that and give him more. Don't wait for the moderators to ask. Let you, have him ask. He was right there. You don't have to wait for them to drop it, like you said. They gave him the least of any, lie question that they knew that he lied about. They gave him the least offensive, but he should have went right into the stolen valor, and then the DUI. He should have just compounded it, got him on the ropes, because he's not good under pressure.
Yeah. Larry, you're right. It's so true. Thank you for calling. Really appreciate your perspective. I think that was all by design, though, because I think for J.D. Vance, I think that his goal, and he was looking at the bigger picture, so his goal was, could he have, there were moments where I imagine he was biting his tongue, where, he could have gone in for the kill, but I think he was also trying to make it about Trump's winning policies, and so it was more about Trump. But I think he was also trying to show himself as somebody who's respectful, who's polite, who wants to talk about the issues, because he knows how he has been painted in the media wrongfully, and we saw that on display last night. And so I think that's why, I got to tell you, I think most people with J.D. Vance's skill set, absolutely, it would be hard to resist there were some real moments there where you could have given him the shiv, as Yoli says, and he restrained from that because I think he was looking at the bigger picture and just, he's been painted as this evil bad guy, dark and this and that, and he just wasn't. And so nobody who sees, there's no clip that they can play to say, see, look at what a nasty guy, he's getting personal. They can never say it. And so that's somebody who's showing incredible restraint after all this time, where even his military record as a U.S. Marine, was questioned. It's ridiculous. We all know that. And that, I think, is what makes it more powerful, that Vance did not take those opportunities. Okay, I got to take a quick break because we're up against it. We have some great guests. Your calls, more breaking news right around the corner.
See Joe Conklin's comedy show at the Sellersville Theater in Sellersville, PA. Saturday, November 1st with Norm Clark and Vince Valentine. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com.
JoeConklin.com! Honey, I'm going to Wawa for dinner.
Okay, but Ben wants pizza.
Yup.
And Nick wants a burger and fries.
Right.
Oh, and the twins, they won't touch anything except for mac and cheese.
Exactly. Wawa has something for everyone for dinner, so I only have to make one stop to make everyone happy. So, what do you want?
Well, if you're going to Wawa, I have to have a hoagie.
From burgers to hoagies and everything in between, Wawa has dinner for everyone.
I am a father.
I am a mentor.
I am a wife. I am an artist.
I am a husband.
I am a friend.
I am a sports fan. I am your neighbor.
I am a member of your church.
I am.
I am. I am.
I am a police officer.
Support your local law enforcement officials. Sponsored by the Pennsylvania Fraternal Order of Police. Visit partnersinpublicsafety.com.
Looking for the confidence to walk away from the 9-to-5? Find out how with Joe Yakovich on The Heart of Your Money, Sundays at 9 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
At PGW, safety is essential to delivering clean, reliable natural gas to Philadelphia homes and businesses. If you smell gas, call PGW at 215-235-1212.
The following is a paid commercial message. Bob Casey supported radical sanctuary city policies, and Casey said,
I want to be held accountable if something doesn't work out well.
Casey's sanctuary city policies haven't worked out well. They release dangerous illegal immigrants onto our streets. In fact, Casey's sanctuary city policies released one illegal immigrant felon in Philadelphia who then raped a 5-year-old Pennsylvania girl. Casey made us all less safe. Casey not only supports these crazy policies that put convicted felons back on our streets, he'd make things even worse. Casey voted to give illegals with violent criminal records amnesty. Casey supported amnesty even for illegals convicted of domestic violence and child abuse. Rewarding illegals convicted of domestic violence and child abuse? It's insane.
I want to be held accountable.
It's time to hold Casey accountable. It's time for a change. It's time to fire Bob Casey. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. SenateLeadershipFund.org.
If you're driving a car or truck with an expired warranty and suddenly lost your transmission or needed a full engine repair, would a $4,000 repair bill leave you stranded? I'm Danica Patrick. Don't get caught off guard with a vehicle breakdown. Choose the company I trust, Endurance. No matter the mileage, if your vehicle is less than 20 years old, Endurance offers auto protection plans for any budget. Protection on the drivetrain, electrical, transmission, AC, and more. Plus 24/7 roadside assistance and rental car reimbursement on any plan. Endurance handles everything, from making the claim to paying the certified mechanic of your choice. Act now and get 1 full year of elite benefits. A $2,000 value, free.
Endurance has paid hundreds of millions in claims. Call for your fast free quote today. Call 800-291-3183. That's 800-291-3183. 800-291-3183.
Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. The Dawn Stensland Show on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
There's so much developing today as we look at this union workers, dock workers strike that will be impacting all of us up and down the East Coast as well as the Gulf. But here in Philadelphia, this affects us. We've been talking about that this morning. And then what about Israel? Israel promising retaliation and perhaps trying to take out some of the oil fields in Iran after Iran deployed all those missiles, 200 reportedly, against Israel. So the retaliation is promised. And this the day before the Jewish New Year, tomorrow, Rosh Hashanah, a lot of schools off. So covering these stories and more, and of course getting your reaction to the vice presidential debate last night. J.D. Vance on the Republican side, definitely the winner in my humble opinion, somebody who comes from humble beginnings and grew up a Democrat. I mean, really was able to explain himself. I think that was great that he talked about his history, his life, military service, U.S. Marine, all of that, up against the vice presidential candidate for the Democrats under Kamala Harris, the vice president, and that is vice presidential candidate, the governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz. So wanted to just switch locally to a story about, well, we'll go from stolen valor, and that by Tim Walz, to stolen signs. What's up with political signs? Do you have one in your yard, whether it's for somebody like senatorial candidate Dave McCormick here in Pennsylvania, or a Trump sign perhaps? Have you had trouble with those signs disappearing? That brings us to Susan in Chester County. Hey, Susan, what's going on?
Hey, Dawn, just a quick, I loved Vance last night. I just wish when they were talking to abortion, he had been able to pivot to parents' rights and the fact that
yes,
minors can go get surgery. But anyway, we have this little site, and somebody was complaining that their Harris sign was stolen. And she said, and for everyone that laughs, I'm going to give $100 to the Harris campaign. Well, what I didn't understand is that there is a law in Pennsylvania that you can't steal political signs, and you can't put an opposing sign less than 1 foot from the opposing candidate's sign. And she's putting up cameras so she can catch the people and turn them into the police. I mean, I had a Trump sticker on my car, and my car was keyed, the whole side. So I won't do that anymore. My neighbor had a Trump flag, which was stolen. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is. And that's just it. I think that a lot of, depending on where you live, I think there are a lot of Trump supporters especially that know, depending on where you live, that if you put up a sign, you could get your house, they could egg your house, vandalism, and especially like you're saying, I had a girlfriend, we were at a charity fundraiser where you would valet your car, and she had for her keychain, it was a Trump keychain. It was cute. And do you know that when she got her keys back from the valet, it was broken?
Yeah,
you know?
Well, I live in Chester County, and when I first moved here, it was really red, and now we have all these very wealthy people who don't have a clue about if she wins an unearned gains, taxes on unearned gains, which will put family farms out of business when they paid $10 an acre, and now 100 years later it's $10,000 or $50,000 an acre. I mean, and I talk to people, oh, that's not true. Well, look it up. Don't listen to me. But they don't want to know. They don't want to know.
Well said. Well, Susan, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
If for those of you that put the sign up or the bumper sticker, just be warned. And that's the unfortunate piece of it. The same people with the "hate has no home here" sign, they're the ones who might think about doing something like that. Isn't that special? So 855-839-1210, the number to call. Let's get to, is it Richard? Yep. Hey, Richard. Havertown.
Hi.
Hey.
I wanted to say thank you for your astute remarks about the debate last night, and I think you're right. The individual Vance has acquitted himself quite well. One of the things I will tell you, and I think it's true, Trump picked him specifically for what he saw in him, and he is an excellent attorney, and he clearly made the case for Trump and what he's able to do, and clearly made the case against, because he constantly went after Harris. he sort of reminds me of Ted Cruz, but not with the edge. Ted Cruz is just rubs people the wrong way on a national scale. He certainly made himself feel comfortable, even though he was fighting 3-on-1. And I think the public, and certainly I did, felt that he was at ease, but he was able to stand up for himself quickly and efficiently when they took the microphone away from him. The obnoxiousness, as Britt Hume said, became palpable. It was clear that it was a 3-on-1. And those two women were no Edward R. Murrow and Fred Friendly, which used to be what CBS had. They clearly have changed the political bias to the point that it becomes so overt that everyone sees it. And now the public is less afraid to say something about it. And I do agree with you with the signs with that lady before. My wife and I would never put a sign up because it's too dangerous.
Yeah,
I live in a Democrat area, and you would clearly have a problem. I mean, they would damage your home, damage your vehicles, and you just don't need that. So I just wanted to say thank you for what you've done, and I hope you keep it up, and I'm sure you will.
Are we sure that Richard's not Britt Hume calling into
I know. Thank you, Richard.
Here's Britt Hume's voice.
Well, the moderators were obnoxious and made it feel like 3-on-1.
Sounds very similar there, Richard. Just put that out there.
Richard, really appreciate you. And yeah, I mean, you and your wife have to put your safety first, and that's unfortunate. That I think that's real. You heard Susan say her car was keyed when she had a Trump bumper sticker. That's terrible. That we're in this place where we can't.
I think you'll find that people become extraordinarily politically obnoxious today. People today are very one-sided. I've lost friends. You can't have conversations. But I will say that politically, there's such a diametric opposition between the Republican candidate Trump and the Democrat candidate that's trying to pretend she's brand new, Harris. And having listened to Vance say clearly, you've been there for over 1,400 days. That was when your first day began. And
that was great.
Does not. That's important to make sure she's not the new candidate. She's the incumbent.
To your point,
I think point was well made.
Richard, thank you for the call. Really appreciate
Britt in
it.
Manhattan. It's not Richard in Havertown. It's Britt in Manhattan that you're talking to.
Thank you, Richard. But
no, I'm in Havertown. Don't worry about it. I really am Richard from Havertown.
Thank you, Richard. Dan, you know what? To Richard's point, why don't you go to the part where J.D. Vance says that Walz is kind of playing a game of whack-a-mole?
Honestly, Tim, I think you got a tough job here because you've got to play whack-a-mole. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver rising take-home pay, which of course he did. You've got to pretend that Donald Trump didn't deliver lower inflation, which of course he did. And then you've simultaneously got to defend Kamala Harris's atrocious economic record, which has made gas, groceries, and housing unaffordable for American citizens. I was raised by a woman who would sometimes go into medical debt so that she could put food on the table in our household. I know what it's like to not be able to afford the things that you need to afford. We can do so much better. To all of you watching, we can get back to an America that's affordable again. We just got to get back to common sense economic principles.
Yeah, and I also thought J.D. Vance he kept trying to give a hopeful aspect to things, and I thought that was good too. It wasn't all doom and gloom. And he continued to talk about what they agreed on, finding common ground, bipartisan support. And I think that's part of his personality. That's what he's like in the Senate. So he's a hopeful person. I just wanted to mention to you that there is word that, Trump and Harris had both, CBS 60 Minutes was trying to put on a special for next Monday and interviewing both Trump and Harris. They have announced that former President Trump backed out of a previously scheduled interview with 60 Minutes, which is the most watched news magazine in the nation. This announcement from CBS News. Full disclosure, I worked for CBS News Network, hosted CBS News Saturday Morning, and worked for CBS-owned stations in Chicago and here in Philadelphia for many years, worked for CBS 3. But now Trump releasing a statement saying fake news, 60 Minutes begged for an interview, even after they were caught lying about Hunter Biden's laptop back in 2020. There were initial discussions, but nothing was ever scheduled or locked in. And that's a statement from the official Trump campaign spokesperson, Stephen Chung. So they're calling it fake news, that they never, in fact, had locked in the interview. But CBS News is saying that he backed out. That's the headline here. So just to give you a heads up on that one. 855-839-1210, the number to call. Let's get to Stan in New Hope. Love New Hope, especially this time of year as the fall comes, sets in.
Newport.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Newport, not New Hope.
Oh, I thought it said New Hope. Sorry. So sorry.
Oh, how about Newport, Dawn? Do you like Newport?
Love it this time of year.
That's beautiful, yeah.
So really what I called about was, watching all that last night, J.D. Vance, because he's a child of an alcoholic, all right? There's certain things that as a child of an alcoholic, if your parent is involved in any of the programs or organizations that are truly involved in helping someone recover, there's certain things that we're taught. Obviously, I will never get well by admitting or confessing the ills of others. So he did not go and keep attacking Walls on the lies because he wasn't going to confess for Walls. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is he didn't have to prepare the way that Walls did, because if you're not lying and if you are truly what you say you are, you can stand there, look right into the camera and say, this is who I am and this is what I represent. And this is the true and honest answer to that question, because I don't have anything to hide behind it. And I don't have to remember something that I know is a lie.
Yeah. And that's a great point. I mean, if somebody is lying, they do have to prepare for that, maybe have some notes that they scribble down to even, you could see him and he was like scribbling down notes like, oh, you have to remember what I said, that's a job in and of itself.
Trump, if you look at Trump and you look at J.D. Vance, neither one really did a ton of preparation, because the thing is, what they're answering honestly from what they know. I think the only place that J.D. Vance fell short last night was when they talked about January 6th, and he didn't say something this simple. I really don't know all the details about what took place there, about the individuals who did what they did. I haven't gone into all the details of it and the court hearings, so I really can't give you an honest answer about that. That would have been the answer to give, because if you don't know all the information, then you're not lying about anything.
Right.
And you're actually giving an answer that tells the people that, look, I'll look into it if you're asking me to, but I really don't know all the details, so it's not a question that I feel like I'm qualified to answer for you.
Yeah, here's the thing. I just wonder if J.D. Vance was just tempted when they asked the J6 question, which was toward the end, and that was their showcase question. Clearly, they were holding it until the end, and I wonder if J.D. Vance was tempted to say, really, this is when we have Middle East tension and a crisis in the Middle East. We have historic biblical flooding in this country with, as we're speaking, hundreds of people still missing. You haven't really asked energy questions. You haven't really asked about our military experience, but you're talking about an event, right? You're talking about an event that I personally had nothing to do with, and this was 4 years ago.
That's why I said he truly did a restraint of pen and tongue. The restraint was that he was not going to get better at what he was doing by confessing the ill of others. And their response to January 6th and the setup that they did against every Republican who was in Washington on that day, and everybody who's been involved in it ever since, has been fraught with fraud. And it is consistently, Trump has asked many times for people to really look at all the details that took place with the court hearings. They were never given standing. They were never given the things that they really needed in order to be able to address the issues. In that respect, it's complete disrespect to what was at the time a sitting president and also a candidate. And they've done nothing but disrespect him as a candidate and as a president and former president ever since.
Yeah.
So, and even from the very beginning. So, I think that both of them, because of their direct honestness with the American people, occasionally there's embellishments, but that's not coming from Vance. Trump occasionally does embellish. But you know what? In the overall scheme of things, the man has told this country everything he would do, and he did it. And he's going to do it again. Give him a chance.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate it, Stan. Thank you. speaking of that, I will say this, just glancing up at some headlines, New York Times, and they say, after a back and forth of within the vice presidential debate that showcased the strengths, but also some weaknesses, of Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, the campaigning resumes in earnest on Wednesday. That's how so the New York Times chooses to say there were weaknesses of Vance. So you're telling me there were no weaknesses when, the other guy, Governor Walz, called himself a knucklehead. Admitted and said that he, had some knuckleheaded rhetoric or moments, etc.
Imperfect. And I'm a knucklehead at times, but it's always been about that.
Yeah, so knucklehead, but they're not going to put that in the headline. And they also, what do they say here? There's another line that just, see this, I don't even know why I read this because it just triggers me. But I will tell you where they are today because Walz is here in Pennsylvania today. I believe Vance is headed to, Michigan. Where is the vice president, Kamala Harris? She'll be in Georgia. We don't know, will this be another 20-minute appearance like she was at the border? Not sure, but she will at least be in Georgia to discuss hurricane relief efforts, but then she'll be headed to the Fox Valley of Wisconsin, and that's in the Green Bay, I think it's south of Green Bay, and that will be tomorrow. So we'll see how much time she's spending. Now, I thought that Biden was going to be in one of the southern states, maybe Georgia, tomorrow. So will Harris be there with Biden, or is he not going to go? So I'll have to look that up for you during the next commercial break just to confirm that, because I know the White House had said Biden would be in touring the devastation. Again, historic flooding, the death toll rising, hundreds missing, and more than 1 million people still without power, without supplies. I did see that Elon Musk, and I saw where Trump had, and somebody put this out on social media, so thank you, where former President Trump had said that he had contacted Elon Musk and fairly quickly had, gotten up the Starlink to get some satellite service so folks could at least try to communicate. And then we talked earlier this week in Kale & Company about the fact, I think Nick brought this up, that, AM radio coming to the rescue, that there are some communities where just to get a sense of what's going on and even try to communicate with an AM radio station, that they were at least able to get people some information through AM because everything's down. So we'll continue to update you.
I do have the president's schedule for today if you wanted it.
Yeah.
He's departing Joint Base Andrews to Greenville, South Carolina at 12:10. He's going to arrive at Greenville in 1:20. He's going to get an aerial tour of the impacted areas in Greenville at 1:45. Departing Greenville at 3 o'clock to go to Raleigh, North Carolina.
Raleigh.
Yeah, wow. That was bad pronunciation there, Dano. 3:45, he's going to arrive in Raleigh. 4:15, he receives an operational briefing. 6:55, he departs Raleigh, comes back to Joint Base Andrews.
So he will be in North Carolina.
And South Carolina today.
And South Carolina. The Veep will be in Georgia. So I want to track this, where they are, because it's interesting that they're not together. And so he'll get operational briefings, and he'll greet some first responders. So Raleigh around 4, Raleigh's in North Carolina, so he's in South Carolina first. So I just want to watch this. I want to see where the Veep is, because thus far, I know that she had the picture of her on the airplane. She had the FEMA briefing. She was in D.C. So we'll see. Will she take some questions? Is there a pool of reporters with her? Will she take any of their questions? That's my question moving forward. 855-839-1210. Quick break here, and then we'll come back with more. We have a lot to tell you about, and a great interview. Tell you what's going on here in Pennsylvania with protecting kids, with some great legislation when we talk about social media, when we talk about cell phone use. Be right back.
High school football is back. High school football is back. And so is the Friday Night High School Football Scoreboard Show. Join Daryl Dobis, James Bailey, and Matt Dents. Friday nights 10 till midnight for a rundown of all the big high school games in the region and expert analysis. The Friday Night High School Football Scoreboard Show. Friday night at 10. Only on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
They're pounding on the door. They're calling on the phone. They're threatening to close your business. If debt has your business on the brink, call Ray Reynolds, the godfather of credit. For over 40 years, Ray Reynolds has helped thousands of customers get millions in cash credit. It's no wonder why they call Ray the godfather of credit. He may even be able to raise your score above 750 before the end of the year. You could even get a new personal or business credit line up to $50,000 within days. If your credit needs a rebuild, call Ray Reynolds and receive a $1,000 cash credit card at closing. Raise your credit score to 750 or more. Call Ray Reynolds at 800-576-2295. 800-576-2295. Learn about Ray's secrets to success and how he can fix and improve your credit score to 750 or more. Call the godfather of credit rebuild, Ray Reynolds, at 800-576-2295. 800-576-2295.
Hey, Dawn Stensland here. You've heard me talk about Chapman Windows, Doors, and Siding for years now. I just love my new patio doors and love the work the Chapman family team has done in my home. You know by now, if I needed windows, doors, or siding, I would only trust the Chapman team. If you're thinking of updating your front entry door, right now is the perfect time for it. For the entire month of September, Chapman is offering free hardware on a new front door, up to a $500 value. An updated front door can really change the curb appeal of your home and obviously increase the resale value. Whether you're looking for a single door, double door, or maybe a door with beautiful side lights, their experienced project consultants can help you choose that perfect new door for your home. If you or somebody you know is looking for windows, doors, siding, shutters, or hardware, give them a call. You can text 610-431-8898. You can always take an online virtual tour, ChapmanWindowsDoors.com. Chapman, the name I trust. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Join the National Brain Tumor Society on October 13th for the Race for Hope Greater Philadelphia at Cooper River Park. This event honors all Greater Philadelphia residents affected by brain tumors while raising funds to help the National Brain Tumor Society. Visit raceforohopephl.org.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause, brought to you by Advocacy United, this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that'll affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Tired of hearing scary ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. We may be able to significantly reduce and even eliminate what you owe to the IRS. Taxpayers should know. Huge savings are now being made available through the Fresh Start program that can drastically reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. Even if you haven't filed your taxes in years or are facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, or under audit, we can help. We've earned over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today. To see what savings you may qualify for, visit us online at TRA.com or call us at 800-511-0379. 800-511-0379. Again, that's 800-511-0379. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, Clementon. Yeah! We know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
So let's talk about something nice. This involves our Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who's a Democrat, Katie Britt, who is a Republican, and they've come together. We learned about their friendship. She's married. I didn't know she was married to a football player. I guess I should have known that. I'm sorry.
I didn't know it either, so you're good.
But she's a Republican from Alabama, and they came together really in the name of mental health warnings and safety for kids. But they've introduced this bill to require mental health warning labels on social media platforms. They were recently together doing an interview on Fox News with Brett Baer. So listen in.
About a warning label, essentially.
on social media?
Absolutely. Well, you heard the Surgeon General himself just say it. When children are on social media, their rate of anxiety and depression increases. We know our kids aren't on social media for minutes or even a few hours. They're on social media on average 5 hours a day. Knowing what we know, it's imperative that we give people a proper warning to say, here are the challenges that are presented. And then ultimately, one thing we're really proud about our bill is it also gives people access to help. So when people find themselves in a mental health crisis, our bill says there has to be a link that shows people how to get help in the face of that. And it really is the defining issue right now for our children. And it's important that we do something. Doing nothing's not an option.
And so that's on the federal level. But here in Pennsylvania, one state senator is way ahead of them, wanted to improve students' mental health, academic performance, social skills, and this was ahead of the school year, so this announcement was made over the summer. So Senator Ryan Aument is going to join me, and we'll talk about this new law that incorporates how they can keep kids secure, be respectful of maybe their cell phone, and it's really widely supported. So we'll talk to him about his idea, how to improve students' mental health as well as their grades, their academic performance. Another great idea from locally from Pennsylvania. So my conversation with him just ahead. But I loved the fact that we did have Fetterman coming together with his fellow Democrat. They're both freshman senators. And talking about the fact that her husband and his wife, that the four of them had met, they really hit it off.
Well, yeah, our relationship kind of started. It's like we had the whole spouse, and it was like orientation, and it's like, this is a guy that's bigger than me, and we just kind of clicked at that point and developed a friendship. And then, she visited me at Walter Reed, and So ever since then, we've just
did. Our spouses connected immediately. We got to know each other, obviously, and in orientation.
Yeah.
And
her husband had the kind of career I wish I had playing football. Football player, yeah. Mine didn't turn into much, but he made it to the NFL. But yeah, they're just wonderful people.
And we feel the same way.
It never came about the politics or what team that you're in. It's just about, hey, working for what's, I think, better for America, and that's kind of why we're here today.
It was nice. That's all I'm going to say. It was a nice moment, and maybe these, young senators, first-time senators coming together like that, maybe they can get some things done and find common ground. So it was nice to see. My conversation with our Pennsylvania state senator on improving students' mental health and academic performance, that's right around the corner. But speaking of common ground and hitting the road, well, maybe you're looking for some new wheels as you head place to place. As we're now in October, the fall season, heading out for some road trips. Well, are you ready? My friends at Piazza Premium Automobiles, they're going to help make sure you and your family are safe out on the roads. These service centers of the Piazza Premium dealers, they not only handle, all your regular maintenance stuff, right? Everything you need, but they also can diagnose any possible issues or problems before they can happen, before you hit the road. Just schedule that service appointment online today, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com, Piazza, PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com for that dealer nearest you. And they're across Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. PiazzaPremiumAutomobiles.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Weather sponsored by Morgan & Morgan.
A cold front approaching the Delaware Valley today will keep conditions mostly cloudy. A stray shower is possible mainly to the west with a high 71. Tonight, mostly cloudy skies continue with a low of around 60. And for Thursday, becoming partly sunny and warmer with a high 76.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Today, we're the largest injury firm in the world, and I'm thankful to you for trusting us all these years. We'll always be here for the people, not the powerful. Injured? The choice is easy. Morgan & Morgan. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Are you looking to remodel your home?
Emmons Remodeling offers complete remodeling services to turn your house into your dream home.
With quality craftsmanship and attention to every detail, Emmons designers and construction experts can handle all of your remodeling needs from kitchens to baths to basements and additions.
Call Emmons today at 856-885-6677 or visit callemmons.com.
From top to bottom,
to inside and out,
at Emmons, we have you covered.
You can live out your MasterChef dreams when you find a professional on Angie to tackle your dream kitchen remodel. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
You're in hot water, mister.
What'd I do?
I told you months ago our utility bills were getting higher because of that old outdated tank water heater.
Maybe it's time we finally switch to a Navien tankless.
Learn about Navient's high-efficiency tankless water heaters, endless hot water, all while helping you save on your energy costs.
Hey, look at this. Our utility bill is lower since we got the Navien tankless water heater.
Who's in hot water now?
We are, all the time.
Learn more at tanklessmadesimple.com.
The most important part of your financial future is the firm you choose. You see, all financial firms are not the same. Traditional firms that sell securities can't guarantee income and are vulnerable to bankruptcies, market losses, capital gains taxes, and ongoing fees. But the exclusive crash-proof retirement system continues to protect over 5,000 clients from market losses and bankruptcies and provides guaranteed tax-favored income with the potential for double-digit interest returns with no fees whatsoever. Our one-of-a-kind proprietary system continues to protect billions of dollars in assets. Are you in or near retirement? There's only one crash-proof retirement for the American retiree. Schedule an appointment or register for our next event at Spring Hill Country Club on October 16th, 800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel yet? Do it today at 1210 WPHT.
When you look at the numbers, suicide is the leading cause of death, or second leading cause of death under the age of 44 years old. When you look at what's happening to our young people, the rate of depression is more than doubled just between the years of 2011 and 2019. And Brett, when you look at what we've just received with regards to young women, 1 in 3 high school young women said she actually considered taking her own life. And then 9% of our high school population, so 9 out of 100, said they actually attempted death by suicide. And so John and I are approaching this not just as senators, but as parents. And we believe that parents need all the information.
And so that was Alabama Senator Katie Britt working with the John she's referring to, Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, and both of them saying that their parental duty and their parental priorities really supersede any kind of political differences, that for them, this is their common ground as parents to serve the nation's children. So they've introduced together legislation that would stop the scroll. So the idea here is that social media can be harmful for kids. Let's stop them from scrolling in on certain social media, especially at school. But it's a bipartisan act that would ensure all users, especially kids and teens, are aware of the potential mental health risks associated with social media use and would actually require social media companies to direct users toward mental health resources. And so that's the latest on the Stop the Scroll Act that requires the pop-up warning label for access. So that's on the federal level. But I will tell you, somebody here in Pennsylvania, way ahead of them in many ways. Maybe they got their inspiration from my next guest. And this is our own Pennsylvania state senator. And this is Senator Ament joining me right now. Ryan Ament, State Senator Ament, thank you so much for joining me to talk about what you're doing along these lines, where you're just trying to protect kids' access from smartphones, and you're saying that it also improves their performance at school. So welcome in. Tell me about it.
So good to be with you, Dawn. Yes, that's right. And I got involved with this issue first and foremost as a dad. I have two children. My son, Jack, is 14. He's in 8th grade. My daughter, June, is 11. She's in 5th grade. And our children do not have smartphones. My wife and I have made that decision. Now, they do have iPads, which we very closely monitor. But I have just seen in my own children, and certainly in their friends and the struggles that their friends' families have, navigating technology at home. And this is a really important conversation, certainly for families. But I believe very strongly that it's critical, absolutely essential, that we free our kids from smartphones, access to smartphones and social media for the 6.5 hours during the school day. And I'm convinced if we do that, we will see an improvement in the mental health crisis. There's clear, compelling data that links the mental health crisis among adolescents, feelings of depression, isolation, anxiety, attempted suicide and suicide, attempted self-harm and self-harm, a clear link between that and access to social media and the rise of smartphones. So I believe if we take that step in our schools, we'll see an improvement in mental health, an improvement certainly in the school culture, the school environment, school safety, but also in our students' academic performance, where we've seen a decline, certainly since 2012, as smartphones, particularly with the 24/7 Wi-Fi access to the front-facing phone, the link to social media, a clear correlation.
And so for you, not only, putting out the legislation, which you receive that bipartisan support, I think that's great that people can come together as parents, like you're saying, but it involves, how does it work with the special lockable smartphone bag for students? And that it incorporates some money for, right? So providing a resource here as to the how are schools going to do this?
Yeah, and I appreciate you highlighting the bipartisan nature of this. It really has been, and it should be a bipartisan nature. I was pleased to learn of the efforts by Senator Fetterman and Senator Katie Britt that are underway federally. And we've seen across the country this movement at the state level. Republican governors such as Glenn Youngkin and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and Democratic governors, as well as Republican and Democrat departments of education that have begun to take these steps. And we see local school districts taking action as well, even when there's not a state policy in place. Recognizing local control in Pennsylvania, the step that we've taken, and I'm certainly going to evaluate whether there's not additional steps that need to be taken, but the step that we've taken with our budget this year is to provide funding out of our mental health and school safety grants. That was funded this year at $100 million in the state budget. And we've said to local school districts that if you enact a policy, go smartphone free. Again, I refer to it as bell to bell, 6.5 hours, total freedom for the device, from the device during the school day, that you can apply for funding, school safety and mental health funding, to purchase lockable bags where students would come in at the beginning of the school day, drop their devices into these bags. They'd be locked. They could not access the phone until the end of the school day. The benefit of that type of approach, from my perspective, is that students, families maintain possession of their property. Many families are resistant to turn over very valuable property and risk loss, damage, or a device being stolen. Many educators are hesitant to enforce their own policies because they don't want to be in the position to take a phone and have it stolen or lost or damaged in some way. So it's like a laptop bag, but for a smartphone that is locked, and the student would maintain possession. They would not be able to access the phone unless it were unlocked at the end of the school day. And so we provided funding for school districts who wish to take that approach. And I'm certainly working very hard to elevate the conversation so that districts will consider that approach.
You know, I'll just say this to you, that it's easier said than done when you're the only parent among a parent group who all the other kids have smartphones. Why can't I have a phone? My husband and I, like you and your wife, I mean, we held off as long as we could. So our kids were, it was mostly because we were both working. They were 7th, 8th grade. So what do you say to the parent who's listening right now, or a grandparent who maybe can help out with this, as far as the why and maybe your plea as far as to that parent who has a child as young as 8, and they were saying, Mom and Dad, but all my friends, they have a smartphone.
And I'm living that, Dawn, particularly with my son who's in the 8th grade. And it's a difficult conversation. It's a difficult conversation for my wife and I with our children, and certainly with other parents. We don't want our children to feel isolated. We don't want them to feel left out. And so this is a really important community conversation. This is a really important family conversation. So while I am out in the community and we have a back-to-school night where I'm hosting a town hall event, a panel discussion later this month where we're going to invite the community in to have this conversation, as I have town hall events, as I talk about this publicly, while I'm certainly focused on the legislative effort and what happens in the school, this is a really important conversation for families and communities. The pendulum has swung so far in the direction of the technology and access technology. It's happened so quickly, and parents are feeling the pressure. And what I would encourage parents is to really think through what the implications of that are, and what a phone-free childhood, or certainly a reduced phone childhood, what that would look like, what the benefits of that would be. My wife, who also teaches in a school, their school went smartphone free this school year, perhaps maybe at my encouragement a little bit. And the first thing my wife said she's noticed a month in is that two things. First, the number of students requesting to use the restroom during a class period has plummeted. Used to be 6 or 7 kids per class period, and many of them chronic abusers of that. Now it's 5 or 6 the entire day. The second observation is the hallways and the cafeteria is loud because kids are actually conversing, are talking to one another. What we see happening, we're raising a generation of young people that are more comfortable operating and navigating the virtual world, but not the real world. And there's a real consequence to that academically. We think sometimes as parents that the technology is opening up the world to our kids, but what we've done is we've opened our kids up to the world. And so we just, as families, as communities, have to think through this and together begin to delay the introduction of this technology. And so I'm so pleased to see grassroots groups in school districts and around the state where parents are signing pledges to delay the introduction of phones and delay the introduction of social media, and doing that together, because you're right, the pressure is so strong, and we don't want our kids to feel left out. But the consequences in terms of the mental health, the academic decline, the development of our kids, of their brains, the data on this is so clear, and the data, I think, affirms, when parents look at the data, will affirm what you're actually seeing in your own kids.
Yeah, what do you say, Senator Ahmed, about the parent who says, you know, I want my child to have their phone that can be off, but I want it on their person because what if, God forbid, there's an emergency? What if, God forbid, something happens in school and they could be the one to call 911 or text me and update me?
It's a great point, and I think this is the most emotional discussion I've had with families on this policy. Let me sort of first give kind of the technocratic answer, maybe. and then go into the more emotional aspect. And they're both really important conversations. The first is I have conversations around this very issue with school safety experts and law enforcement. The response I hear is, and what I hear from the school safety experts is, in reality, if there is the most horrific of circumstances, a school shooting, what you actually want is your student focused, not distracted, paying attention to the instructions of a responsible adult, not making noise, not texting, not taking video, and not following instructions and guidance from someone outside the building who doesn't have the situational awareness. However, there may be a circumstance in which the child is the person who has to make a call to report something. And so in those circumstances, in those rare circumstances where that's occurred, we do need to have the policies where students can access the phones. They can be rapidly unlocked, or in the case these bags can be rapidly cut open, or there's other technology available at schools that emergency personnel can be contacted immediately. I would make the argument that the data points to the fact that smartphone-free schools are safer schools, particularly when you factor in how the smartphones, the linkage between smartphones, bullying, cyberbullying, and the mental health crisis, the link between that and violence that's occurring in school. So I think it's critical from that perspective, as well as what is the response in an emergency situation and how do we keep kids safe. I think the smartphone-free approach, where there is policies in place to respond, does in fact make our kids safer.
Yes. And so we really appreciate it. For you as a state senator, I often, when I talk to somebody who's in Congress, in other words, at the federal level, versus somebody like you who's at the Pennsylvania level, I just want to ask you, do you feel like you get more done and get more personal satisfaction as far as, because in the news, obviously, it's always sexier, if you will, to report on what everybody disagrees about. But how would you rate as far as being, in our Pennsylvania legislature, as far as getting things done?
Yeah, this is a wonderful opportunity. I've been blessed to have been here in the Senate for the last 10 years, and I served in the House prior to that. I'll tell you, along your line of questioning, when I was first elected to the state House, I think that someday I wanted to be a member of Congress. And the longer I've been here, less appeal, in fact, not less appeal, to go to Washington, D.C. versus working in Harrisburg. And the reason is because I do think the impact it can have on the lives of the community is far greater than to be a member of Congress in many respects. I know those issues garner a lot more attention, but what really is impacting folks' lives day to day, I think I can have a far greater impact here in Harrisburg. And the ability to work, to your point, the ability to work here in a bipartisan way, to reach across the aisle, to listen, to get to know your colleagues, to find common ground, to get meaningful things done. I think that's far easier to do here for many reasons than it is Washington, D.C. So this issue's been particularly rewarding for me to work on. I've been pleasantly surprised with the support it's garnered in this building, but particularly outside the building. It struck a chord. There are just so many families out there that are responding, and school district leaders and educators who are saying, this is a huge problem. You have no idea how big of a problem this is. Thank you for taking this on. It's been so rewarding.
Getting things done in Pennsylvania. Senator Ryan Allman, thank you so much for joining me. Really appreciate it, and I hope that we can continue the conversation. We have to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or You'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. Call 800-290-7100. That's 800-290-7100. 800-290-7100.
Hey, did you hear? Wawa has classic hoagies for just $6.
Any classic hoagie?
Yeah, any classic hoagie.
What about the cheesesteak?
$6.
Meatball?
$6.
What about the Italian hoagie?
It's $6 for a classic. I shouldn't even have to ask, but what do you want for lunch?
Hoagies at Wawa, of course.
Right now, get any Wawa Classic Hoagie for $6. Gotta have a Wawa.
Chronic pain, cancer, fatigue. Find out about the benefits of medical hydration therapy on Health Watch with Dr. Molly Fantasia every Sunday morning at 8 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
This is Dr. Marianne Ritchie. Tune in to Your Radio Doctor every Saturday afternoon at 5 here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT for the latest healthcare news and information, because your health is your wealth. That's Your Radio Doctor, Saturdays at 5.
Honey, I'm going to Wawa for dinner.
Okay, but Ben wants pizza.
Yep.
And Nick wants a burger and fries.
Right.
Oh, and the twins, they won't touch anything except for mac and cheese.
Exactly. Wawa has something for everyone for dinner, so I only have to make one stop to make everyone happy. So, what do you want?
Well, if you're going to Wawa, I have to have a hoagie.
From burgers to hoagies and everything in between, Wawa has dinner for everyone.
Yo, Roy is Ford. What? We know your favorite station is 1210 WPHT. WPHT.
Thanks, Dan, for the information. If you're interested, I know a lot of you are commenting. Maybe we'll go to some of your comments. But if you're interested in going to that sort of informational town hall, it'll be, October 15th? And that's a back-to-school night? Now I'm trying to pull it up, Dan.
Yeah, no, I got you for you. It's Tuesday, October 15th, back-to-school night at Centerville Middle School, 865 Centerville Road in Lancaster.
Lancaster.
Lancaster? Expert panel discuss cell phones in schools. If you want to attend, head over to the Senator's website. You can go to senatorallmen.com/outreach-events to register.
Yes. And by the way, thank you, Shannon, and some others who sent me this heads up. I'll try to make this evening. It's this afternoon, 4 o'clock this afternoon, and it is Athletes for America. So Riley Gaines and Frank Murphy, who played with the NFL, Frank Murphy. I don't know who he played for. Not Eagles, obviously. But it's Riley Gaines. She's like,
Bears.
Oh, right.
The Bears.
The Bears.
The Bears.
No, the Bears.
The Bears.
So Riley Gaines, we all know, but she'll be at the Trump Force 47, that same office that Kathy Burnett, kicked off, and I was there, a month or two ago. It's on Penland Bluebell Pike, and it's in Bluebell, PA. So you want to meet them, Riley Gaines, get a picture with her, and they're just hanging out. It's kind of another Trump Force 47 kind of a thing. I don't know if they'll be giving anything out or signing anything. Can't vouch for that. I'm just saying. Have you met Riley Gaines in person, Dan?
Not in person. Become very good friends with her via text, so great person. Yes.
Yeah, she's great people.
So a couple comments coming in on YouTube regarding the last caller. You mind if I give you one in specific? Because I want your opinion on this one. YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. Here at WPHT, we pride ourselves on being interactive, so please go like and subscribe, submit your comments, and we'll get back to you. Chris wrote in, there's no chance my kids would be without their cell phones in any school that I as a parent didn't believe was safe. I'd even make a tough decision whether they'd be in such a school, but say you had a student or a kid that was in a unsafe area, known for being unsafe. Would you let him go without a cell phone?
Would I?
Yeah.
Personally?
Yeah.
I loved them. I like that they have phones, but I also know it's a different. They're boys. First of all, I think it's different for girls. I didn't get it with the senator. I should have brought that up. I think that I respect that they can have the phone. They keep it in their backpack. Although the high schools are now trying some different policies right now at David's school where they can't even have the phone out even at lunchtime because of exactly what Senator Alment said. So, yeah, I think that everybody has to have the conversation. And when you logically look at all the stats, when you think about the impact and even the social media impact the social impact on them, that they're sitting there with their phone, much like at the dinner table. Okay, how many times do you see a family, you go out to dinner, and there's the family sitting next to you, and they're all, even the parents, they're all on their phones. So they're not even interacting.
It's so sad. It is.
So,
We went to Chili's,
right?
and there was a girl when just trying. She was telling her parents, I was kind of, eavesdropping a little bit, just telling her parents some horrible things. And her parents were just completely distracted on their phones. And I just wonder if a lot of the mental health is due to parents being stuck on their phones themselves and just not listening to their kids.
And so Chris Eppolito, I mean, that's I would agree with Chris that just doing this one thing of taking the phones isn't the magic answer. I think part of it is the idea, and that's not the only thing within this legislation, obviously. Part of this is educating everybody and getting everybody on the same page. Because if you have in your school, you're getting on the same page, you're having student meetings, all the parents get together, right? And now you're all, as a parent, it comes down to the parents. But bottom line, it's not legislation. Chris, I agree with many of you. That's right. Fred Flintstone, yabba dabba do. But I just think Chris is right. It's more about the parents. It begins with them. This helps kick off the conversation. So Dom Giordano, I know Dom, I'd love to hear Dom's take on this too, as somebody who started out as a teacher and educator. I know you have a lot of opinions about this. Hey, Dom.
Hey, Dawn, thank you. Bill O'Reilly thinks Advance did a great job humanizing himself last night, and I know he's talked to President Trump about that, so we'll get a little of that conversation. When they were talking about school shootings, Vance tried to really drill down. He talked about locks. He's being mocked for that because of the two dopes that were moderators.
Yes. Yeah, it's... I'll love to hear O'Reilly's take on the moderators too. Yes.
Here we go.
This will be good. Dom shows right now.
Do you need to improve your smile? Get a dynamite smile with Lumineers. Make a great impression with friends, family, dates, and job interviews. Dr. Heinbaugh of American Dental Implant and Lumineers Center is the area's only certified Lumineers dentist. Don't have your teeth reduced with traditional veneers. Lumineers are the greatest development in dentistry today. No grinding shots or pain. Lumineers save tooth structure. Lumineers are patented and proprietary. Lumineers last many years with a track record of over 25 years and more. Don't hide your teeth. Show off your dynamite smile. Dr. Heinbaugh is thrilled with his Lumineers. Call today for your free consultation and Lumi Smile, a simulation of how you can have a beautiful smile. No more crooked yellow teeth spaces and many other conditions eliminated. Call American Dental Implant and Lumineers Center in Spring.